Gransnet is very happy to welcome Rosemary Shrager to Gransnet today. She's going to be doing a web chat for us. Rosemary's agreed to do a couple of questions for us as well beforehand, so here goes. Rosemary, what would you say is your signature bake? The thing that people know you most for?
Okay.
What was your favourite?
Right. I'm going to be very slightly out of the box here, but my favourite baking, sort of using puff pastry, is actually chicken and potato pie. Now, I am famous for my chicken potato pie. My children always say they always wanted them on all their birthdays, all their events, when they come over, they want chicken and potato pie. It is the best. And if you want to know how to cook it, I'll give you just 2 minutes, or less than 2 minutes. You roll up the puff pastry, you cut up some potatoes, about 1 kilo of potatoes, very, 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 very finely. Cook them in some butter till they're just cooked. Then cut up some chicken breasts, chop them into very thin slices, then cook them in some butter as well, till they're just cooked, not quite. Then get lots of tarragon, mix it with a lovely potato, but the tarragon is incredibly important. Quite a lot of salt, I'm afraid, and black pepper. Mix it all up, let it get cold. Now, put your mixture into the middle of this big square of puff pastry. Then roll out another sheet and egg the outside first, the base. Now put the other piece over the top. Then pash it all down, crimp it all round, do it with egg yolk all over, cut a 10cm top and bung it in the oven for about an hour at about 180 say. If it goes a bit brown, turn it down to 150, but 180. Then bring it out, and I'm sorry to say this, you can do it without, but boil up some cream and put some seasonings as well, because the cream white will dilute the potato and chicken, and then lift the top off that you cut the centimetre top, the round, and pour the cream in, and gently so it gets into the potato and chicken, and then put it back in the oven for about 10 minutes. My goodness me, it is delicious. And enjoy. And I normally serve it on a big board, and we have it with salad or even just peas.
Oh, delicious. And the tarragon as well.
Yeah, key ingredient is the tarragon.
So, what were your worst cooking disasters?
Right. Well, I'm actually this was not a disaster as such. It was a disastrous situation. So what I'm going to say is I actually went when I first started in cooking, I was doing some outside catering, and I went, it was my very first event, it was a 40th birthday party, and I had cooked some vegetables, and they were having, it was 40 people, 40th birthday, and we'd taken some stuff into the dining room, but unfortunately I saw my physiotherapist there, so I went and tripped on the carpet. The beans fell all over the floor. I then, the actual host who was doing it, got a dustpan and brushed them up onto a platter and said, serve them. I was horrified, but I have never been so embarrassed in all my life. So okay, that was my situation disaster. Culinary disaster? Well, I'm going to say, professionally, I actually haven't really had, but I have in the background. I've had a few very serious disasters, but that's normal. That's learning to cook. And I have to tell you one thing. When I first started cooking, and because I didn't go to training school, I actually used to phone up Claridge's and the Dorchester and things, and they always used to say start again, because things would always go wrong. That's how I learned. I learned the hard way.
That's how you learn, generally from mistakes, don't you?
You learn from mistakes.
And do you cook with your own grandchildren, or what would you recommend is a good thing to cook or bake with grandchildren?
Oh my goodness me, right, where do I begin? We cook all the time. I've just done a load of bread, soda spread, scones, actually not cakes, I made them, and little 4-year-olds, they are just, I let them do what they want, they get on with it, I let them make as much mess as they like, they love it. My granddaughter, who's now 7, just 7, She loves making anything from Peking duck. In fact, her very first burn happened the other day with pancakes, Peking duck pancakes. And we were doing them and she had her first burn. And I said to her, now be proud, this moment is important. This is your very first burn. So get it under cold water, get your yogurt on or whatever you do, take it down. It really hurt her. But I said, right, you're going to get up on the chair and you're now going to continue to make the pancakes, which she did and she loved it. And she will remember that burn forever and ever. So in fact, I've been cooking with the children. We've done all sorts of things there. Freddie's 8, as I said, that is Freddie's 8, but Suki's 7, and then the 4-year-olds. They love cooking. They've got the cooking gene. They love it. But it's just something to do, and I just adore it. I cook with them all the time.
And Rosemary, if you weren't in the food business, what other profession do you think you'd like to explore? Something that you haven't done before?
Right, that's a very good question. Right, well, there's 2 things I would love to do. As a racing car driver, I would love to have risen. I'd love to race racing cars. It's one of my dreams. And but also, I wanted to be an actress. Well, can you guess? So I when I was young, but I just loved performing. I loved just doing things. I remember I was doing something when I was at school. I was doing Popeye and Pluto, and of course I was Pluto, didn't I? So Popeye had to take the spinach, and my one thing I'll never forget, when Popeye took that wham at me and I was Pluto, I had to go down. All I could hear was the parents going, oh! And of course all I could think of was, I've done it. So that's it. I'm an actress all the time. I'm just me. I'm lucky to do cooking, which I'm totally in love with my job. I just adore my job. But also, you know, I actually could just be myself as well in front of the camera, which I absolutely adore too. It's nothing to do with ego, it's just, I think it's because I'm actually naturally bossy. Maybe that's why I did it.
And Rosemary, what is an underrated food in your opinion? What would you recommend people should cook more of?
Well, that's a very easy question again. Funnily enough, obviously, somebody was asking me earlier about a grain, quinoa, I'm not quinoa,
Quinoa.
yeah, I was...
Quinoa.
Quinoa, it's quinoa. And I think grains are really important. I think people should cook more grains. They're healthy, they're easy to do, people don't know how to do them. And I think that's just such a great thing to do. But I also think people should, what is important is, for me, is for people to get people to maybe cook a chicken and learn how to do things with a chicken. So if you've got a meal out of a chicken, you can do a pilaf from it, leftovers, you can do a soup from it, you can do all sorts of things. And the thing is that the one thing, you can get so much out of a product. So I think people should actually almost, not wise up, but I don't mean to be rude saying that, it's not wise up, but actually understand you can get far more out of your food than you realise. And by just making it go, because you don't have to have too much protein. You don't have to have that amount of protein. Protein is really good, it's what we're used to, what we can digest easily. But, more the vegetables, but I think today, it's not quite as necessary. You can bulk it out with carbohydrates and things like this.
And last question, what is the funniest situation you've been on in one of the shows that you've been on in the past? So your Ladette show or the celebrity show, what's the funniest situation that sort of happened?
Okay, well, all right. I think actually that behind the scenes.
But it doesn't have to be behind the scenes.
Well, okay, all right. I'm going to say it. The first night of Passing Wind. Oh, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I think that has to be one of the funniest things. How? Actually, I'll tell you the other funny thing. I had an accident. I fell down the stairs just before I did Let's Dance. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, and I could hardly stand. I could hardly walk, but I was determined to wear the heels, and they'd made me little plimsolls with beautiful diamante all over the plimsolls, which were absolutely amazing. But I just had to wear the heels. I could hardly walk. I have to tell you, I've seen it now. It is the most hysterical thing I think I've seen. It was appalling, because not only you don't know this, but actually, one of the dancers, we'd actually had the practice of lifting me up all the time. One of the dancers stood on my bow, and actually they had to let go again, and my Tiffany necklace had gone all over the floor. So actually nothing was what it seemed when it actually happened.
It's amazing what they can cover up with a little bit of editing.
It was very funny.
Oh, fantastic. Rosemary, thank you so much for answering our questions, and yes, to the web chat.
Bye.